Labor Day honors our work, an Old English and Germanic word which means to do, to act, to move through time and space. This is the fundamental characteristic of everything that exists in our universe. Even the tiniest subatomic particle is moving, making an effort. Everything works. And if the almighty force which precedes, envelops, and postdates all the worlds of time and space, if that unfathomable, all-encompassing oneness were to ever stop working, all that is would cease to exist as well. So in the reflection of that which never ceases to work, to keep our atoms spinning, our cells dividing and replicating, shedding and changing, so must we work. Our hearts have to beat, our minds have to think, we have to eat, drink, breathe, move, and that's just the least of our effort. The first clause in our labor contract, in exchange for which we get to experience this wonder called Earth. As we were shown by Maslow's hierarchy of needs, human beings need to make more effort than just those required by material things, whose atoms must spin, or plants who show us all things must grow, or animals who demonstrate the efforts required to move over land, sea, and sky to attain their needs. We require something even more. The second clause of our labor contract, because human beings are unlike any other creature, we have to teach each other everything there is about living over the course of years. So we have to work together. In order for our species to survive, to create meaningful roles and jobs that are of benefit and use to each other, so we might feel a sense of belonging, contribution, satisfaction, that aspect of our human nature requires our work to ultimately be unselfish. In that sense, all work, no matter what it is service work for our entire species to make progress and thrive and grow. So those are some of the ways that we can talk about labor. No small topic. And the quality of our labor, it can always be measured by its result, the proof. If our labor contains mistakes and faults, those can be seen in its results. And in that sense, creation can be an act of repair or healing. For us, a country still resisting, as the United States is, the simple act of repairing the sins of our past, it makes sense that we have not yet honored the labor of our ancestors, nor ourselves. Dr. King said $20 a week for 4 million slaves would have added up to $800 billion. That would pay for a lot of schools, housing, healthcare, jobs projects, all categories Dr. King wished for all Americans in his call to eradicate poverty. Those are the same categories that Roosevelt called for the nation to deliver to each of us in his second Bill of Rights.
Which a new basis of security and prosperity.
Dr. King and Roosevelt aren't just two random famous names in American history. Those were the calls to action of America's greatest freedom fighter, the one whose labor earned our sisters and brothers the right to vote, and the president whose leadership defeated the Nazis, took our country out of a depression and created the middle class. There will always be those exploiting our cultural divides, using prejudice and distrust and fear to pit one against the other so they can conquer the might of our collective bargaining power, pretending there are groups of Americans who are lazy or want handouts.
In Chicago, they found a woman whose tax-free cash income alone has been running $150,000 a year.
As if any human being doesn't have the same basic innate need for a meaningful life and meaningful work. Americans, all of us, are some of the hardest working people on the planet and the least well compensated. We've been trained to believe that our productivity is our only value. When we've united in respect of our labor, we've stopped children from being exploited. We've given ourselves the freedom to take a weekend, to have a minimum wage, to take a vacation, to at very least be aware of the various types of rest we need. But since the 50s and 60s and 70s, we've slid backwards. The United States is the only major country to fail at guaranteeing health care, paid family and medical leave, sick days, and a vacation. You know, in France and Finland, people get a whole month off every year, paid. In Iceland, mothers and fathers are given 9 months to provide the care their newborns need. And caring for a newborn, that's some of the hardest work there is. Out of the world's 196 countries, the US and Papua New Guinea are the only two that don't protect a mother's need to be free to care for the life of her new child. despite the majority of Americans supporting all these basic human needs. Our lack of respect and support for our own labor is in violation of the fifth principle of the preamble to the U.S. Constitution, which charges the United States with promoting the general welfare of the country. We should at least be on par with the other wealthy nations on Earth, if not leading in labor benefits. Our labor benefits should be a priority instead of spending more on military equipment than most other countries combined. On this Labor Day, may we remember the wisdom of casting out philosophies that would use the temples of humankind for nothing but the exchange of labor for money. The noble work of lifting people out of poverty, providing for each other clean water, food and shelter, at the very least, and a life of good purpose and meaning. That's the mission set before us by every moral teacher of every wise tradition since the dawn of time. So on this Labor Day, may we honor the work done for us by those who came before us and respect our own efforts for those who will come next.